So this is a sketchbook that I've had for quite a few years, and those of you who have been in my classroom have seen it. And originally it was just a composition book, just like this. And the difference between a composition book and a real sketchbook is that the composition book does have lines on the inside, and a sketchbook like this one has blank pages on the inside. But it's really up to you what you get. If you can get yourself a real sketchbook, that's great. But if not, you can see that you can work inside of a composition book. So I wanted to first talk about the outside, the cover, because that is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to decorate our cover. Now, what I did is I took some of my most favorite pieces of art and I had them printed on just black and white. And then I went in and I filled in the color. So if you look at the front cover and the back cover, this is Rene Magritte, this is Vincent van Gogh, Frida Kahlo, Picasso, Mondrian, all these artists you're gonna learn about. I just found them on Google. I printed it in black and white, and then I added my own color to the artwork. I also then took clear packing tape and I stuck it to the cover, and I made a little pocket with a little Pablo Picasso painting so that I can always keep my pencil with my sketchbook. So I'm going to open up my sketchbook so that you can kind of get an idea of what we're going to be doing this year. So this is things that I have been doing for the past few years. This just talks about what a sketchbook is and some sketchbook ideas, which I will be sharing with you. This one here was just a day of doodling and Zentangle. I did it with black pen, and I really just wanted to fill up the space. And then there's going to be days where we're going to be taking notes. So the elements and principles of art, and then I break them down into line, shape and form, color, texture, space, value, and then each page gets its own element of art. So this one was all about line. And then I did a bunch of different types of line. And one thing I want you to notice is that I'm using both sides of my notebook. I noticed that a lot of students always skip pages. Just make sure that you're always using both sides of your notebook. Over here, it's all about shape and the different types of shape, like geometric shapes and organic shapes. This one was a painting I did with a Q-tip. It's all about pointillism, and we'll learn about that also. This one here, interesting, I actually did this one on a different piece of paper, and you can see here that I actually worked on it on another piece of paper. I didn't have my sketchbook at the time, and I did it with markers, but then I glued it into my notebook. So I want you to know that if you ever do artwork outside of your sketchbook, save it, and you can always glue it in. But do you notice what I did? So I glued it, and then I created on my notebook a picture frame. This was a landscape on Fauvism, so I wrote a little bit about it at the bottom. This was another famous painting that I took and drew and only used pencil and just created lots of different tones and value through my pencil. So also know that if you only have paper and pencil, you can create beautiful images as well. This was all about color and the color wheel. This again was a black construction paper that I glued with some chalk, a little still life, talking about warm and cool colors, texture, it's what something feels like. So there's different things that you can do and draw to make something look like it feels smooth or rough or bumpy. Space, and so how space is organized on your paper is called composition. So I did a bunch of little images on these two papers. This is always one of my students' favorites. This was just a day that I was sitting around, kind of didn't have much to do, and I just started drawing squiggly lines and geometric lines, and then I filled each space with color. I used colored pencils, but one thing I want you to realize and see is that you can see inside each space how the color goes from a dark to a medium to a light. So dark, medium, and light. And we're going to talk a lot about that. That is called value. And value really takes your artwork to looking good, to looking fabulous. Here is value, what we were just talking about, lights to mediums to darks, and it really gives a three-dimensional look to objects when you use value. Over here, I have some beautiful colors that I did with crayon and then just some optical. So I'm just gonna go through this so that you can see how I'm using both sides of the page. Sometimes it's more for note-taking. Sometimes it's more for creating art. Sometimes I glue things into the paper. Then we have the little pop-ups. So portrait, still life, landscape, and abstract are the 4 main compositions in art. So I really want this art notebook, your sketchbook, to really be interactive, meaning that you can open it up, you can work in it, you can show it, people can open it up and they can work in it, and you can really interact with your notebook. It becomes almost like your art textbook. So warm and cool colors with watercolor, another piece that I glued inside. And again, I'm just gonna go through these so that you can see some of the things that we have done. This was a lot about value and echo drawing, color wheel. And then I really got into drawing portraits and really focusing on each part of the face. So the eye, steps to drawing the nose, step to drawing lips, and we're gonna go through all of this. Here's texture again. Here I wanted to show how it looks without value and then with value. Value is really important. Some other just simple drawings. These were done with just a pen. Again, just a pen, and notice how I'm using both sides of the paper and I'm really trying to fill up the space. I talked about weaving, some more still life and value, another big color wheel, an art piece by Piet Mondrian showing only primary colors. Oh, I accidentally skipped a page there. Okay, this was using only warm and cool colors, warm and cool colors. Some more optical illusion. So here I want to just a quick chat about this page. So this is just a little image, but it talks about what abstract art is and the artist Wassily Kandinsky. So sometimes if you want, you can take notes in your art sketchbook. I want you to really think about maybe writing poems or something that describes your picture. This page was just cleaning my oil pastels. So you can see that every page really is going to be different. And sometimes the one image fills up the space. This was for a poster contest on saving water. This was just a quick example of a nutcracker around the holiday season. And I believe that is pretty much it. These are just pages that have started to fall apart. So that is the idea of creating a sketchbook. So what we're going to do today is we are going to now design a new sketchbook. This one is old, so I'm going to start with a new one, and I am going to decorate the front and the back cover of this black sketchbook. So let's get to it.